hi, everybody, and welcome to our call today. And I've got some PowerPoints. I'd like to share what I believe is the greatest opportunity in the history of the world in terms of just the power to do good with power of products that can really dramatically help you. And that's my biased opinion, but it's just with a personal experience of what it's done for me. I've been a product enthusiast most of my life, and I've got a couple of cupboards full of stuff that I play around with and experiment with to show that. But of all the things that have just been the most dramatic as far as helping my personal health, it's specifically an earlier version of Cell Defender. And I've heard with our newest manufacturing and everything that it's just its highest form yet, probably 4 times as good as the product I was using 5 years ago that helped me so dramatically. So, wow, really excited about this. Let me share my screen here. And okay, here we go. And okay, I think it's working now. Okay, Avini Health, that's the name of our company. And it has been around about 1.5 years now. And yet, on the other hand, a lot of the concepts that we're working with have been around about 20 years. The biochemist, who we'll elaborate on later on in the presentation, actually came up with a specific product in, I believe it was 2003. So it's pretty much right at a 20-year mark. And one of the things I really like to think as far as health is this idea that if all of your cells were healthy, you could not be sick. Isn't that a fun thought? All of us, like maybe 40 trillion of us, that's how many cells we have. That's quite an amazing amount. And of all of those cells, if they were healthy, you would be healthy. And if you think of the myriad of diseases, perhaps there's over 1,000 different names of problems. One of the things to consider about that is that essentially they're describing malfunctioning cells in a particular body system or an organ or something like that. But in that body system that's malfunctioning, and we have a name that describes that malfunction, if they were all healthy, you would not have that problem. And so disease, contracting a dis-ease disease, that really is pretty accurate when you think about it. And so here's the idea. Choosing health means learning how to give your cells everything they need while keeping them free of toxins and bad stuff that they don't need. And as an experiment, if you haven't done this, to confirm this a little bit, just think of anything bad that you don't want and go into your browser, search on Google or whatever, and type in that bad thing you don't want, make a little space, and then type in heavy metals. And you're going to see just all sorts of compelling, scary things about why you don't want heavy metals in your body. And so it fits into this thing as health is giving your body what it needs, but don't give it what it doesn't need. Heavy metals are not good for the body. And so this is what we're told to do to be healthy: is good nutrition, just all the right kinds of food. We all need to eat more fruits and veggies, exercise, get a good night's rest, drink lots of pure, clean water, fresh air, all of those kind of things. It's just natural. And we will not argue with that at all. These are vital to do. But here's another thing along that. This is a scary thing. And if you've been in a grocery store and just looked at other people checking out or watched their grocery carts and what's in them, it fits into this number right here that 2/3 or 67% of the calories consumed by children and adolescents, and probably a lot of adults, it comes from ultra processed food. That's a scary thing, and it's getting worse. And that cannot be good for us. But what we want to focus on is there's a lot of things that we could talk about as far as eating better, the best water, all of those sort of things. But one of the things that's just really biting us is not just this right here, but this. And if you think about this, toxins, that's a scary thing. What is a toxin? Well, a toxin is a chemical that's bad for you. It'll damage you. and mercury, lead, cadmium. There's actually thousands of complex chemicals that never existed before, in addition to just the basic bad stuff like arsenic or whatever, that's just everywhere. And we're accumulating it. This is really scary stuff. And everybody's heard of body burden and heavy metals and all of those sorts of things. And so we've got some real concerns about this. Here's just a couple of bullet points, and this is taken from NIH. And so what I've already said this, it turns out that many, if not all, health issues causing people all these problems may have links to heavy metal toxicity. And so you can do that research yourself and you'll see all sorts of things. And what do toxins do? Heavy metals specifically, they compete with important minerals like zinc and magnesium and manganese and calcium and magnesium and all of these important things. Pretty much every chemical reaction that takes place in the body needs cofactors like minerals, and our body cannot make them. Essentially, what it is, we just have to have them in our diet. But the thing that's bad is heavy metals compete with those metals, and they win every time. As an example, a real critical mineral that's involved in thousands of different reactions is magnesium. Mercury likes to compete with it, and it'll take that out. Also, if you look at some of the other things, endocrine disruption, brain fog, kidney failure or damage, liver damage, cancer, just all sorts of bad things happen with these things. And some of them like to go to particular places. Lead likes to go into bones. Mercury loves nerves and brains and things like that. And it's just horrible. Now, here's the thing at the bottom sentence. It says inundated every day. And so here's this magic, black magic of compounding, adding up, and just thousands of stuff. So we're in a vast experiment, and I would love to be in the control group, but you'd have to go to a different planet because it's everywhere. And so where do they come from? Everywhere. It's breathing air, drinking water, eating food, touching things. It's just permeates everything about us. So much so that a mom feeding the baby, breathing the air, all of that kind of stuff, it's passed into the newborn. And an infamous study was done. A panel of 200 different bad things were tested for, and that's what they found, 200 bad things in umbilical cord blood. And so, wow, you're born with this stuff. It's horrible. This is what heavy metals do. Really scary stuff. And I think back when I was young, I loved chemistry, and I particularly loved things like mercury. And I can remember just playing with it all over the place. And oh, yeah, I'm scared about all of that. Now, there's some complex things. Now, this is a scary thing right here. PFAs, this is basically really complex fluorine chemicals, alkaloid fluorines. One of the first things that made it famous was Teflon. And that got all over the place and became very popular. One that I remember was Scotchgard, and just thinking how magic that was. And it's still around, all of this kind of stuff. One of the really bad things, you never want to eat microwave popcorn, not to mention just all the chemicals that are in the popcorn itself, but it comes in a bag that has that real smooth, slick stuff. So it has basically a disposable Teflon pan in the product. Dental floss, Glide, is actually that sort of thing. It's just all over the place. You want to avoid all of that as much as you can. This is something that is really scary, is this stuff doesn't break down. So they call it forever chemicals. So we are in a toxic forever chemical crisis. Some other things, volatile organic compounds. If you take your dry cleaning home, take the bag off in the garage or someplace else. And you'll actually smell stuff coming out of it. If you buy a new house, there's all kinds of really, really bad stuff. You can kind of smell it. And I've heard one of the best things you can do before you move into a new house is turn the heater up a whole bunch and just be away. Maybe take a couple of days vacation and have the furnace on 85 or something. That'll help drive out those volatiles. So that can be a very useful thing. And here we are, just we're feeling pretty good. I see this cute little baby. Aren't they awesome? And then thinking there might be some bad stuff in them. But think about that. How healthy do you think you are? And I look at, we've got an enormous capacity. We're blessed with amazing reserves. We can eat bad. We can do an all-nighter and skip sleep or do different things, but eventually it'll accumulate and build up. And if you feel pretty good, I look at all of this body burden and heavy metals. I kind of think of it in my own mind as that proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. All of us are camels. A lot of us are walking around feeling pretty good, but there's a few of us, they're already on the ground with broken backs. But everybody has a burden on the back. And no matter who we are, if we could relieve that burden, things could work better. It's just bound. We'd have more reserves. And this is something. Now, here's a question. What if there was a scientific breakthrough and it was supported by multiple clinical studies and it was proven to safely remove all this bad stuff? I'm talking about heavy metals, VOCs, PFAs, all of this out of your body systemically through your kidneys, through urinary excretion. And it was just super convenient. What if that was an actual thing? And in a way, if you're visiting with somebody and you're an Avini distributor, one of the fun elevator conversations you can do really quick. And so often the conversation comes up, well, what do you do? And they talk to you, and pretty soon they say, what do you do? That's one of the first things that we do, other than this is my name, is what do you do? This is how we identify ourselves. And here's a really curiosity, an interest creating statement. I'm in the toxic removal business. We specialize in the human body. And then you can just let that set for a moment and let them ponder about that. Won't that create some curiosity for most people? Because again, almost everyone's heard of body burden and heavy metals and toxicity. And so if you say, I'm in the toxic removal business, we specialize in the human body, boy, I would be interested in that. And so here's what we do, decreasing body burden with Avini Health products. How about that? Okay, a Detoxilite is a trademark for a specially prepared product. And this is really cool. Clinoptilolite, I'd never heard of that before until I met Rick 5 years ago when I started taking this stuff. But what's really exciting about this, 20 years using this, millions of bottles. I don't know how many thousands of people have used this with wonderful benefit. All of these years, tremendous supporting studies. You can look this up. People that are curious and they're thinking, let me check this out. The more you look, the better this looks. All upside, no downside. It just consistently proven safe and effective, and that it actually really works. And when you hear micronized and activated in these studies, just think Rick Deitch was the first person to coin those terms. Everybody else, as a federal judge said in a statement, added that there is detoxilite and everything else is Deitch light. They have attempted to repeat something that they really don't understand and probably really are not willing to put the effort in, because this stuff takes several days to make and a lot of steps. So, wow, here it is. I've followed this for 5 years. I'm so excited to say that for just a year and a half now, Rick has his own company, and he has some really strong partners along with that. So essentially what we have is people that you can trust as far as competency and being able to make something really, really good, but also tremendous business acumen. We've got, people you can trust, products you can depend on. And basically our mission statement is very simple. Just provide the best products, science-backed, life-saving, life-altering, life-enhancing. Get the products shipped today. I got on auto ship and my stuff has already come in for this month. That's pretty exciting. And then just treating people good. As far as distributors, we're paid well and we're paid on time. I love it. So on the left, we'll see Rick Deitch and his wife. Middle is Neil Roth and his wife. And then Doug Dickey, our vice president of sales, on the right with his wife. And they're just really good people. I think there's a book called The Speed of Trust. And that's what makes everything work, whether it's relationships or business. Everything as far as people, business is people. and it's all about relationships. And so here's just some thoughts right here. This is what we're all about, is treating people right, just doing the right thing. The whole idea of anybody that encounters Avini, they'll be better because of that experience. And so we've got some awesome products. We're coming out with some more as time comes, but always, I would say the tip of the spear, because Rick says that, the big thing is Cell Defender. It's amazing. Everybody needs this because it takes things out of the body. So let's talk a little bit about that. Okay, so a high percentage of the Earth's crust is different forms of zeolite. I think in terms of health benefit, the particular one, clinoptilolite, is the very best. So it starts out with the raw material and it goes through all sorts of different processes. Back in the 90s, when Rick first started studying zeolite, because it's been around hundreds of years, and up until Rick, it was a real potent and very popular intestinal cleanser and did a lot of good for people. It was used also in industrial processes, purification, like water purifying, as I mentioned, animal feeds. It's even used in cat litter. It has an affinity to bad stuff, even stink. They dumped tons of it on Chernobyl because it loves really small, highly charged particles, which includes radioactive isotopes. Just an amazing product. What caught Rick's eye was some studies done where they had some amazing, magnificent benefits by some people experimenting with it, putting it into a colloidal suspension and delivering it IV to some dogs. That caught Rick's attention, and he got thinking, wow, up until this point, zeolite, when it's taken in, it just stays in the gut and has some good benefit down there. A lot of stuff takes place in the gut. But what if you could get it into the bloodstream without having to do an IV? And the whole answer was to go submicron in size. And again, this is before Rick. There was not this kind of product. So he created a whole new category, micronizing it down to probably the average particle size is down to half of a micron. Everything's pretty much under 1 micron. And wow. Now, even when it's reduced, it's part of the Earth's environment. And so the wind and the rain that carries all of these pollutions around, you've probably heard, as an example, taking cores from Antarctica of ice. Wow, it's gotten up into there. The jet stream, all this stuff is taken everywhere. So we got bad stuff. You can't get away from it. And so zeolite naturally has this affinity, so much that they've even found diesel exhaust from the dump truck that took it in from the mine to be processed. It's an amazing product. So it's full of stuff. Now, it isn't necessarily dangerous because the stuff has such an affinity, it won't let go of it. So it grabs lead or whatever and doesn't let go. It's deep inside the cage. And so effectively it's biologically inert. However, if it's in there, there's less room for more bad stuff to come in. There's a physical limit. And so the magic of Rick's product is making it submicron in size, but also an ability to drive out those heavy metals that the zeolite has this natural affinity for. And so now it's hungrier. And wow, so he's found all kinds of ways to drive off all the different kinds of pollution that's in that. And so, wow, just an amazing thing. Zeolite, as it shows here, has this unique crystal cage, the shape and the size of it, the charge of it makes it love heavy metals, but a very little interest in, as an example, on this thing here, it says calcium, magnesium, phosphate, all the good metals, very little interest in those. We've got another product. Now, Rick talks about of lots of medicinal mushrooms, and he refers to a study that was done some time ago. Some Japanese scientists were going all around the world geographically, studying, well, you could talk about blue zones that have been discovered where people will live there, live longer. There's also zones where people don't live as long. But one of the fascinating things, there was an area in Sao Paulo, Brazil, where it just appeared people didn't get cancer. And they're wondering what is unique about that area. And they found a particular mushroom called Agaricus blazei. They got so enamored by it that they took it back to Japan, and it's really the thing over in Japan. They can't get enough of it. They love living long and live better, and so it's a very popular product over there. Also, Rick loves it, but he began his work in biochemistry actually on the pharmaceutical side and studied under a couple of Nobel Prize winning scientists. And his job was to make chemotherapy less dangerous. So he's been thinking about selectivity for a long time. Interestingly, he says Agaricus blazei works better than the stuff he was working with, and it has zero downside. So that sounds pretty good to me. So we've got that and a total of 7 mushrooms that are grown in a way that it really potentiates the biological potential, the active potential of these mushrooms. And then just so many other things. If you add clinoptilolite, especially Rick's form of it, it seems to make it all work better. So Rick adds clinoptilolite to all of his products. But this is amazing. Essentially, what's neat about this product is it makes your immune system function better. It doesn't set it off or make it hysterical like potentially some herbs like golden seal or echinacea or something like that, which could have some value for a cold, but just used temporarily. But this just seems better than anything, modulating the immune system to the effect that many people, maybe they've got allergies or other things that would indicate that the immune system is overreacting or responding wrongly. And this seems to just help the immune system work better and improving what we could call cellular or just communication between the immune cells. So that's neat. When I look at this product, I remember having dinner with Betty Kamen, oh, so many years ago. She was a real health guru, and she was a big fan. She brought to market something that's in this, and that was FOS, oligosaccharides. And that's a sugar that thinks it's a fiber. It's really not metabolized by us, but we call it inulin in here. But one of the things, we were having dinner and she just made this observation, and it's an interesting couplet. Anywhere in the world where you go and you find a population and their stool is small, they have big hospitals. And when they have big stools, they have small hospitals. But so much of health is if your colon specifically is healthy. But overall, digestion seems to be the Achilles heel of human metabolism, that if you get that right, everything else is downstream, and that starts working better too. Much of your immune system lives there. The right type of bacteria do all sorts of things. An integral part of your immune system. They manufacture things like vitamins, but also complex things like neurotransmitters and things like that. So it's just invaluable. There really is such a thing as a brain-gut connection. And interestingly, going back to Betty Kamen, stool, about half of that is bacteria. I mentioned at the beginning, human beings, depending on how big you are and the studies and that, you have maybe 40, possibly 60 trillion cells, but you could have over 100 trillion bacteria cells inside you. Now, of course, bacteria cells are much smaller than human cells, but you have several pounds of good bacteria if you're healthy that's in your gut. And it's there for a purpose. It can physically displace the pathogens, the bad bugs, but also it really does help us digest your food and all those other things that I'm mentioning. Now, Rick is a super fan of fiber. And when he worked for Rexall, a major part of the sales volume of Rexall was his fiber products. And this is his very best product. Fitting into that, Rick talked about when he worked for them, they might say, yeah, we like the product, but we don't like the price point. What can you take out? This is the very best. If you're a label reader, you'll see, oh my goodness, it's 100% monk fruit for the sweetener, as an example. Well, that's not the least expensive sweetener to put in your fiber. It's probably the most expensive. But all these different kinds of awesome fibers feed the right type of bugs. And so by getting on this, the profile of fiber will optimize the profile of your flora. And so your biome will become more healthy getting on this. It'll change everything. And if you read the label there, this is big deal stuff, that this can reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease, helps with cholesterol, wonderfully stabilizes blood sugar, supports healthy colon and gut, huge, nourishes and gives you better bacteria, and helps you remove toxins from the digestive tract. Yes, it has zeolite, and this is the form of zeolite where it does remain in the gut. So it's not the totally micronized zeolite that you'll find in Cell Defender. So it's not take this instead of. This is a supplement too, so you take it as well. Energy. I think about this. I remember just experiences being at people's homes, watching people take this, and all of a sudden their brain is working better. Friends that talk about they take this before they play pickleball and they just do better. Or younger people, they're gamers, they're just able to process better. This is really neat stuff. This looks 5-hour energy, but it's not a bunch of chemicals. It's based on some of the best research from Russia as far as adaptogens. They were the ones that kind of made that word up, and some really wonderful herbs that have got lots of clinical backing. And so ADX7 is a trademark of a blend of wonderful things added to some things that Rick has added. Agrana balanced with theanine, and of course, zeolite. So amazing product. Plus relief. Rick created a whole new category of pain relief, one of the leading experts in venomous animals. And there's some wondrous biological things in venom. Some of them aren't very, very good used naturally in full strength. But isn't it interesting that you can take particular neuropeptide out of Asian cobra venom, reduce it down 10,000 to 1, it's isolated, so it's just that specific neuropeptide, denature it so it's no longer toxic in any way, and that particular one just happens to fit in with some cool things in the body, the nicotinic receptor, and also receptors on white blood cells that modulate inflammation. And so this is anti-inflammatory and pain relieving to a marvelous degree. Wow. And all without any toxicity, no habituation. It doesn't, it continues to be fully effective, and it's not habit forming whatsoever at all. And it won't blow out your kidneys or damage your liver or anything. It's totally safe to use long term. And as you use it, it actually seems to work better and better over time. So we've got amazing testimonies of this. It's just helped so many people. Nano silver. This is something at first glance you might think I already have some up in my cupboard, but this is different. Usually when you look at silver products, colloidal silver, they haven't figured out a way to make it small enough. And if you think in simple terms, I always look at, what if you threw a silver dollar in a pail of milk like they did 100 years ago before refrigeration, that the milk would stay fresh longer. But if you could take that silver dollar, slice it so it was only half as thick, if you can imagine, the surface area is pretty much unaffected. If you sliced it again, it would be 1/4 amount of silver, but essentially the same surface area as the original coin. And if you did that another time, it'd still pretty much be the same surface area. But if you could imagine colloidal silver doing that a couple of thousand times, you would still have that same surface area, but a small amount. However, it's small, so it can get in around in the body, but it's still too big, and it gets stuck in the body to the point where if somebody continues to use it, you can actually start turning a color, turning into a Smurf. Your skin will do a blue-gray color, and it's permanent. It actually gets stuck in the body. That's not a good thing. Now, if you go too small and go ionic, it can actually get inside the cells and create tremendous havoc. And so what it is, this is the Goldilocks nano silver. Somehow, using nano engineering, they've been able to make uniform little balls of silver that are about 200 atoms apiece. And then we had a product before that was about that, and it was wonderful, except the shelf life had a problem, and it would break down or aggregate and just come out of the suspension. This stuff is real stable. They found a way to actually create a monocoating of silver oxide molecules around these little balls of 200 atoms of silver. And so it's extremely stable. It leaves the body completely within 24 hours, so it doesn't get stuck. Still too big to go inside cells, so it's totally safe. And interestingly, the regular good bugs don't seem to be bothered by it, but all the bad ones don't like this stuff at all. And so it really has a real potent antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial, antiparasitic, just an amazing product that's all upside, no downside. One of the big things that's very interesting is fast food. A lot of bad things have been out there for a long time. But if you look at, say, pictures of people or just kind of weight and what's going on or some of the numbers and stuff, it's really scary how obesity is just driving up, and some thoughts. And you can actually look this up. These are real words, toxicity or obesogens, that heavy metals and stuff like that, your body doesn't want to deal with them. And to protect your body, it stores it in fat. And so it's sequestered there. And so you got this fat and the body keeps stuffing it there because it's building up toxins. And then if you try to lose weight, the body resists. It doesn't want to deal with those bad things again. And so what's been really awesome is people that get on the Cell Defender, a lot of them spontaneously start losing weight without doing anything conscious about it. And so the thought about that is, why not actually do it purposefully and help it along with some other products? And so Trim Science came about. And Trim Science is a really neat drink available in 4 flavors. And it's got about 12 different herbs that have everything to do with thermogenesis, slowing down carbohydrate absorption, lipid synthesis, appetite suppression, just helping with detoxification. Just a really neat drink, very convenient, tasty, and then adding that to the plus fiber and also the zeolite. So you got a triad of Cell Defender, one of the drinks, and the plus fiber, using them all together. And if you use the plus fiber like 15 minutes before a meal, it actually helps things burn slower and smooths out blood sugar, but also gives you a feeling of fullness. So if you want to lose weight, take it about 15 minutes before your meal, and it gives you just kind of a feeling that I don't need so much. I don't need that second plate or whatever. Now, cats and dogs, maybe if anything, they might be even more subject to toxins because they're built low to the ground. And so they're real close to lawns with chemicals, or always getting into stuff. And so that might be something scary. Just a thought as an example. Rick talks about this. Say you have a chew toy, and so it gets all slobbery and everything, and it's on the deck out in the back. And the old-fashioned, not the plastic ones, but that might have some stuff too, but the old wood decks, they're actually preserved with arsenic. That's the number one way to get arsenic these days. We could argue also that it's in kale, healthy stuff, or rice. That's famous for having arsenic. It's scary stuff, but it's probably a good idea, if you love your pet, to give them Cell Defender. And now it's available in a nice little treat. Also, animals can hurt. And some of the most heinous side effects of drugs are pain meds. And some of the big things is, as an example, just over-the-counter pain meds is the number one reason for kidney failure and liver failure. That would go even more for a cat or a dog. Pain meds could really, really damage their kidneys. And so here's something beautiful, that same idea put into a treat. So what we have is amazing products. If you use them, you're probably going to have some amazing stories happen to you. And if you share those stories with someone else, what will happen is they'll say, I think I want to try some of that, because boy, there's a lot of people that have problems, and this might be a help. I love this quote by Steve Jobs. He says that the most powerful person in the world is a storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. And something like this could be a game changer in the whole world. Wow, making people more healthy, safely and effective. Now, and it isn't like these products cure anything. Again, they just help the body heal itself, that fixes itself if you give it the resources. And a lot of it is take that burden off the back. Now, there's a lot of ways you can interact with Avini. One is just to no thank you. And that's fine. And thank you for taking a look. But another is you might want to take advantage of these products yourself. Just enjoy better health and wellness. Become a distributor. Now, this is one of the fun things, is, in my mind, I always kind of think of the 11th commandment, thou shalt not pay retail. But I love this idea because this is something that is sort of organic in a way, that if you use these products, you're going to love them. You'll feel a difference, and you'll probably share them with other people. And then in order to use them, you eat them. And so you got to get them more. And then it's powered with a really wonderful auto ship program. And then you want to share them with other people. And all of a sudden you're sitting yourself into a position where, wow, if I actually did this on purpose, where I actually tried to go out and get conversations going about these products and gave them information, I could probably get some customers, and I could get a distributorship and kind of pay for my own habit and be rewarded for helping other people. And the thing is, if you're an attorney or a plumber, if you have a restaurant, every business loves referrals. And this is probably one of the most referable businesses you can imagine. If you can help somebody with their health, help them feel better, they're going to want to tell other people. So joining is real easy. Usually starting a business is really expensive and scary, and you got to give it a major time commitment. This right here, you can just work in little moments every day that we can have. Reach out and call somebody and ask them to take a look at a little video or something like that. And so pretty much day to day, it's just texting links and following up, and then letting people know about these products. And what you'll see here is 5 different packs, and they're called activation packs. So get one of those, and you're on the team. The one on the left, a lot of people, they're interested in specifically Cell Defender. They got some problems they want to fix, and they just want to get that. The next one over is $2.99, and you'll see a variety. That's a really nice pack to just put your foot in the water and just test it, try a few different products. The next one over is more of the same, better value. The next one you'll see is geared around weight loss. And my favorite one, if you really want to get some product out on the street and really jump in and get the best deal, because it's a one-time thing where you get these products at less than wholesale. And if you have business intent, if you're looking at this as a business, then wow, it's a taxable event. Due diligence, launching your business, this becomes something you can write off. So that's kind of fun. There's 2 ways to make more money. One is make more money, and one of the best is a home business, but another is increase your legal deductions. And so that's a lot of fun. Here's some of the benefits. Part of the package is you get your own personalized replicated Avini Health website. All the other companies I'm looking at, you have to pay extra and usually a monthly fee to maintain your website. This is just an amazing website with your own personal URL, and you can share that with other people. And wow, gather customers. You can enroll other distributors, teach them to do the same, get plugged in to people that are really successful, learn what they're doing, and they'll teach you along the way. And wow. And right at first, you're selling a few products, but then you get a repeat business going. And some of those people say, I think I want to sign up. And you just keep doing it. And what you do every day multiplies, and all in an environment that's growing, because this is very new. Very few people know about it. But when it's presented properly, a high percentage of people will embrace it as far as customers and for business. My goodness. Someone said, in fact, I've read this, that to be just even with where the average person was a couple of years ago, you got to be making about another 10,000 a year. That's ridiculous. And you think, well, that's a lot. But then you look at the cost of everything that's gone up in just the last couple of years. That's alarming. And wow, an extra few $100, an extra 1,000 a month could be something most welcome, critical. So this is our company. We got products. I believe we're here on earth to make a difference. And I'm excited about Avini because it helps you make a difference, a positive difference in the life of other people. So Avini Health, we're in the life-changing business. John Maxwell has a book called Change Your World. And this is in the book. I love this idea. This is our business model in a way. I experienced something so life-changing that I change. And wow, if I do that, well, I share something so life-changing that you change. We facilitate something so life-changing that others change. And that's what this is all about. And anyway, I'm just really excited to have you on the call. I hope you got something out of that. And if anybody has a story to share or a question or anything, I can hang on for a little bit.
Great job. That's a great overview, Dave.
Well, thank you, Hank.
Mhm.
One comment talking about due diligence. Come to Dallas in a couple of weeks and come and kick the tires, check it out. That's tax deductible too, but oh my goodness, we're just coming of age. Right now, a lot of people are looking at this for the first time that have some experience, and what they're finding is this is the right place at the right time. So much of success is that focal point is when opportunity and preparedness meet. And if you're looking for something, that's a phrase that's used often, but it's true and it's self-evident. Right place, right time, right product, right people, right industry. Everything is just right. So in this equation of success, put in your effort and run with it, and you'll be glad you did.
Yeah, that was good. Good job. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Tara. All right.